The Inhumans are being pushed by Marvel a little more than usual lately, and I gotta say, I don't blame them. Inhumans are pretty freaking wicked.
With the new Ms. Marvel series coming out soon, we may want to know some of the best and most powerful of the Inhumans before we dive in.
So, here they are, the top 10 most powerful Inhumans members. Let's go, Mario, yeah!
Alright, let's get into it. At number 10 is Triton. This underwater hero is definitely one of the most powerful Inhumans of the royal family, even in comparison to his cousins Black Bolt and Karnak. He's able to withstand drastic shifts in water temperatures as well as changing currents beneath the surface of the ocean, on top of the expected increased strength, stamina, agility, etc. But his enhanced power is not to be taken lightly. He's actually proven to be more powerful than even Namor himself when facing off underwater, which naturally says a lot about his strength levels. He's typically known to be Atalan's link to any underwater dwellings, and he's not to be underestimated. The only reason that he's at the back of our list is because he's only at his strongest when he is in an underwater setting. In fact, he isn't really powerful at all out of the water. Not to embarrass him too much, but you watching this video right now are more powerful than Triton out of water. Because the truth is that Triton would dry up and die within minutes of being out of the water. It's not all bad though, he can just represent the royal family's underwater presence and keep to himself down there. It's probably a lot more peaceful than it is up here anyway.
Number 9, Karnak. So, many Inhumans have incredibly unique and awesome powers. Only, Karnak's ability isn't so much a superpower as it is a learned skill. Karnak never went through the process of Terrigenesis, which would have activated his Inhuman gene and given him more powers. Since he never went through this process, he has all the enhancements of a regular Inhuman, including super strength, speed, stamina, and durability. But unlike other Inhumans, Karnak has trained himself to be an extremely powerful martial artist. But beyond that, he developed an incredibly powerful trait of being able to sense weak points, fracture planes, and stress points in enemies, objects, plans, arguments, and anything, really. Obviously, in combat, he can use this alongside his martial skills to defeat opponents even more quickly. But the applications outside of combat are incredibly useful as well. For example, he found a weakness in death itself and was able to bring himself back to life. Which, I mean, okay man, you win. I can't really do anything against that. Yeah, you're good.
At number 8 is Maximus, or Maximus the Mad. Maximus is known as the jealous brother of Black Bolt, but even though he's got a hang up about Black Bolt's power, he's got quite the power set of his own. He's a telepath who's able to control the minds of others, alter the memories of others on command, and change someone's personality at will. These are pretty hefty abilities, and they don't even end here. He's also able to read minds and project illusions to confuse his enemies. He's known as Maximus the Mad due to his bouts with mental illness and his lack of control over his hysteria and jealousy because of his brother's competence, among other things. But although this is normally cited as one of his shortcomings, I would argue that this angle of Maximus's personality is part of what makes him so powerful as well. Because although he may have issues controlling himself when he's able to, he has an even stronger motivation to get done what he needs to get done. However, it's probably true that most of the time his insanity only gets in the way of him being the most effective that he can be, so he's held back a bit on this list. But he still makes it. Number 8, it's not too bad.
Number 7, Inferno. During the fight with Thanos in Infinity, the Terrigen device was detonated, which spread Terrigen mists across the whole Earth, which activated thousands of people's dormant Inhuman genes. Inferno was one of these people. For Dante Pertuse, his Inhuman genes gave him a pyrokinesis that activated almost instantly, burning down his house with his mother inside. The Inhumans Medusa and Gorgon came to bring him to New Attilan and to help train him to control his abilities. As a new human, Dante took on the name Inferno. Get it? Because Dante's Inferno? So funny. His pyrokinesis allows him to create plasma or flame out of thin air and control it in fire and pyroblasts. He is also able to turn into a kind of fire form where his skin also becomes like stone, and in this form he looks really cool and has been shown to be able to regenerate from attacks with a kind of pyroplasma. It's also been said that he is kind of invulnerable, and it's true to a certain degree just because his flame form is so hot that some weapons will disintegrate before they can actually do damage. But that obviously isn't always the case. But he has also been shown to accidentally set himself on fire spontaneously due to lack of control. Jeez, what a hothead.
At number 6 is the Jailer. The jailer is a criminal who is punished by the Council of Adelan for a series of crimes he committed, and he's sent to a secret torture facility to spend the rest of his life there. But he somehow finds a way to not only escape, but take control of the prison. He even steals the uniform of his former captors, and actually instead of escaping, he ends up sticking around to keep running the jail on his own, feeding off of the suffering from the other inmates. One of the jailer's biggest advantages is that he hides his true identity from everyone, keeping himself safe from any attempts on his life. But that's not his most powerful attribute by any means. His power primarily comes from his psychic vampirism, which describes his ability to feed off of the suffering of others to give himself more power. He can also take over people's minds and control them without them even knowing it. This means that his influence can stretch from the jail to wherever one of his mind-controlled victims travels to. But he's also able to manipulate the bodies of those he inhabits, transforming the appearance and physiologies of his victims at will. So, as long as there's suffering going on, he's at his strongest. And the only reason why he's held back on this list at all is that he's bound to the jail pretty exclusively, and it could be argued that he'd lose a significant amount of power if he were to leave his post. But he's still a huge force and is not to be underestimated.
Number 5, the Reader. I think this may be one of my favorite Inhuman powers. So Reader has the really cool ability to make whatever he reads real, which, if you think about it, is a truly incredible power. Reader is part of a group of Attilan Inhumans who live on Earth that call themselves the Lore. Now, because of Reader's potentially immense power, the people of the Lore tribe took his eyes out, making him unable to read things. On top of this, the Reader has mental blocks in place that stop him from accidentally rewriting reality by reading the wrong things. So how does he still read with no eyes? The same way blind people do. Braille. Reader carries around Braille cards that have single words on them that allow him to do different things in combat and in given situations. For example, he has a card that says see in Braille, that when read allows him to see through the eyes of others. Or the back and freeze cards, which allow him to go back in time or pause time respectively. He has reality warping powers, but he does have a weakness in the form of only being able to use 3 words a day that gradually become less and less powerful. Because we can't let him be too overpowered now, that would just ruin things.
At number 4 is Quake. Quake, aka Daisy Johnson, is a former agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. and a very powerful Inhuman. And the way she gains her powers is relatively unorthodox as well, having never passed through the Terrigen Mists like the other Inhumans. The way she gets her powers and becomes an Inhuman is simply due to the fact that her mother was an Inhuman and her father was supervillain Calvin Zabo, aka Mr. Hyde, who experimented on himself with the Hyde formula. With the combined powers of her Inhuman mother and her synthetically superpowered father, Quake is an extremely powerful force from the day that she's born. But that's just her origin. Her power set is also very impressive. Super strength, reflexes, speed, and endurance, all of which are known to be slightly greater than the likes of even Captain America himself. And I haven't even gotten to her main powers yet. Quake's main power is vibration manipulation, which allows her to generate massive waves of vibration, which are synonymous with they're basically earthquakes. She can create earthquakes. But even further, after training with Nick Fury, she learns to target subjects with this power as well, causing her targets to vibrate from the inside out and destroy their insides on command. I know this sounds gruesome, but it's not always used to kill. One time, she uses the power to destroy the power supply to a bomb planted inside the body of Lucia von Bardus. Although she does rupture Wolverine's heart while it's in his chest too. She also does that. But he was about to attack Nick Fury, so fair game. Fair game, right?
Number 3, Crystal. Crystalia Emma Kellen is probably one of the more well-known Inhumans. A princess, as she is the sister to Medusa and distant cousin to Black Bolt. She also has fingers in almost every single team in the Marvel Universe. She has dated the Human Torch as well as joined the Fantastic Four for Sue Storm from time to time. She was a member of the Avengers, and Crystal was married to Quicksilver for a time, who she has a daughter with, and is obviously friends with many of the X-Men as a result. She also has some notability off-world, through her relationship with Ronan the Accuser. But her relationships and connections are only perks, not powers. Other than the Inhuman qualities, Crystal has power over the classical elements, so that's fire, water, earth, and air. As such, her list of attributed powers is pretty long. So, power list speed round! aerokinesis, flight, force fields, atmosphere generation, geokinesis, ferrokinesis, which is controlling metal, hydrokinesis, chirokinesis, pyrokinesis, atomic manipulation, electrokinesis, elemental awareness, and elemental immunity. Now, I mentioned atomic manipulation, meaning she can manipulate atoms. In case you don't know, that means she is Omega level. Don't mess with Crystal.
At number 2 is Miss Marvel. One of the newest additions to the Inhumans, Miss Marvel is also known as one of the youngest, but she's also known as one of the most powerful. Her power set is insane, especially considering her young age. She's able to shapeshift on command with the pinpoint accuracy of changing the size of a specific body part, which also allows her to shrink down in size to avoid detection and escape dangerous situations. This would be enough as it is for her to rank somewhere on this list, but the reason why she's so high up is that she also has super stretching abilities and healing abilities like those of Wolverine. This puts her in a category only shared by a handful of other superheroes that suggests she may even be immortal. The only reason why we didn't put her at number 1 is that, well, first of all, Adam called dibs on the number 1 spot in this video, but secondly, simply just because Miss Marvel or Kamala Khan's youth is a factor that may stunt her effectiveness at times. Her lack of experience causes her to sometimes let her awe and wonder get in the way of the task at hand. But this is a great problem to have, and it's something she'll probably grow out of, so we'll check back in 5-10 years and see if she's taken that number 1 spot. But for now, I hand it off to Adam for the most powerful Inhuman member on our list.
Number 1, Black Bolt. If you thought anyone but the king of the Inhumans was going to be taking this spot, well, you were wrong. Obviously. Blackagar Baltagon was born to talented Inhuman geneticists, and they experimented on Blackagar, the result of which was that he was born just plain better than other Inhumans. So much so that he had to be put in an energy dampener until he was 19 years old, and he was trained extensively to control his abilities. Which is good for pretty much everybody, because a lack of self-control on a mouth like that could tear the planet in half. That's because Black Bolt produces a sonic scream whenever he vibrates his vocal cords. Now, he did actually lose this power in his fight with the jailer and the damage to his vocal cords, but his actual primary power is that of ambient particle and electron harnessing. And what the heck is that? Yes, I asked the same thing. Ambient particle and electron harnessing for Black Bolt is that the speech center of his brain contains a unique organic mechanism that's able to generate an unknown particle that interacts with the electrons he absorbs to create certain phenomena that are determined by his mental control. It's the reason he wears that stupid tuning fork thing that helps him direct and focus his powers to let him fly, manipulate matter and energy, making him Omega level, use telepathy, and enhancing his physical traits. I bet that didn't make any sense, because I didn't really get it, but whatever. Black Bolt has defeated the Vulcan and even the Incredible Hulk, and he is also a main member of the Illuminati. Putting him anywhere but number 1 is just wrong. Alright nerds, that's what we got.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here at Top 10 Nerd if you want to see more.
And hey, if you like us, check out our socials down below. I've been your host Adam Andrews.
And I've been your host Ben Ball. Until next time.
Peace out nerds.